Thank you very much, Sjokz. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what form Fnatic are in. Welcome to the Cast Desk. I'm Quickshot, joined by Ender, and Fnatic have a lot of games to reference. We've seen two different versions of Splyce, so I want to see who shows up today.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be great to get a little bit of a taste of what these teams are going to be bringing to the world stage. And we heard a little bit on the desk there. For the whole season, it felt like Fnatic was the team that was sort of figured out. You knew what they were going to pick. But after 8 games in just 2 days, there's clear picks for Splyce that stand out. The Gangplank, the Corki in the mid lane, Kai'Sa down bottom. There's all these options now that Fnatic are very much aware of and can prepare for coming into today.
Let's see what draft looks like. For game number 1, Fnatic had side selection. They opted into red side. And I want to see exactly what picks they are going to prioritize. And a reminder, both of these teams going to Worlds today, we're fighting for 2nd or 3rd seeds.
Yeah, I really like the decision to go over to red side, specifically up against Splyce. Yesterday, Splyce played 3 games on the red side and won each and every one of them. And when they're on blue side, they're one of the only teams that will opt to ban the Yuumi. They really like to put Norskeren on these engage-style supports like the Thresh or the Nautilus, whereas the Yuumi isn't quite in that same wheelhouse. So it sort of forces this typical red side ban out of Splyce that is on blue side today.
Well, let's see where the priorities go, Ender. And of course, for both of us, we want to see whether or not Splyce can put up a good fight against Fnatic like they did in Week 9. This year, Fnatic are at 6 wins to 2 losses against Splyce. They were the 2nd team in the Summer Split and the very heavy favorites today. But they need to bring that performance they did against G2 to crush Splyce.
They definitely do kind of come out here in strong form to prove to everyone that they're ready going into the World Championship. I believe in Athens last week, YamatoCannon said on the desk that Nemesis was never going to be allowed to play the Twisted Fate ever again. Not here in Europe, not at the World Championship. Splyce starting that off with a Twisted Fate ban right alongside the Yuumi that we expect from them.
Exactly like you pointed out. Now, Sylas still open and available. I want to see what direction they go with that. Rakan be next to hit the nerf bat. So what are you thinking for first pick priority?
Well, I mean, one of the things is the Kai'Sa that Splyce really do love to put a very high priority on for Kobbe down in the bottom lane. With the Gangplank being banned away last year, they're trying to limit some of the champions from Vizicsacsi. But I do like this Gragas coming through from Xerxe. It seems like once the Qiyana is gone, you have sort of the Sylas and the Gragas for Xerxe. Those are going to be just 2 best picks out of the jungle. And the Gragas just gives you that very reliable all-in engage that Splyce want to take up against Fnatic.
And the response is then going to be the Aatrox and the Xayah. So Bwipo's going to get his most comfortable champion, dare I say it. And
Rekkles gets the best bot laner on the patch right now. So Fnatic absolutely love everything they're getting here. Very strong opening rotation for Fnatic over on the red side. The typical answers, as you expect, Kai'Sa down in the bottom lane is Kobbe's most played throughout this regional qualifier. And the Gnar is going to be that ranged option into the Aatrox. We've seen the GP do very, very well, but once that gets banned away, you need something that can keep Aatrox at a distance. And while in the early levels, Gnar doesn't have quite that much range in his mini form, it definitely does become much better for him later on.
Okay, so let's keep our eyes on how Vizicsacsi will match up into Bwipo. Vizicsacsi making it to his first World Championship. It is one of the stories that I'm most excited to watch. And as you've seen over the last couple of days, Sylas, Akali have been sort of high priority, and there's the Sylas locked in once again.
Yep, this is something that can technically flex into the jungle for Broxah. He played it in the finals up against G2. Wasn't super present on that champion. I much prefer to see him on something that can make a dent in the early game. The Lee Sin or the Elise, much more like his pick.
So the question I have for you then is, what would you like to see for this next phase of bans to determine whether or not the Sylas is going in the jungle or not?
Well, I think you could choose to ban away 2 very early game junglers. That's going to be Lee Sin, and I bet money that it's going to be an Elise to follow it up, because typically you don't split bans in this rotation. Yes, the Lee Sin is by far Brox's best champion here in the LEC, but it seems like a good strategy to just take away early game options from Fnatic. Because when you look at this matchup, you think late game teamfights for Splyce, you think early game just powerhouse from Fnatic. You remove early game options, all of a sudden it evens out, and we see a match much like in Week 9, where it went to the late game, and Splyce really thought they had a chance.
And if I remember correctly, it was Kai'Sa into Tristana in that matchup, and you know, Kobbe went aggressively forward. He saw the crit onto Rekkles, but it was Rekkles' Kai'Sa that came out on top.
Exactly. It was Rekkles on the Kai'Sa, and he absolutely went beast mode inside of that game, looking real good. Now, the Shen might look a little suspicious if you didn't watch the finals last weekend, but Fnatic do like playing this in the bottom lane as a support to enable their strong solo laners. When you have a Shen down bot side, it means that you can play very aggressively if you're Bwipo or Nemesis. Does that make sense? You have Nemesis and Bwipo, they love to play aggressively. You put a support that can immediately tag team with them and shield them. That's going to be a good option.
And then I wonder if this also gives additional credence to the Sylas potentially going mid lane. I mean, look, it can still be pivoted. Once we round out the Splyce composition, Corki locked in for that mid lane. And they're just looking for their support now to round it out.
Right, so Sylas is definitely fine this Corki matchup in the mid lane, especially in those early levels because of the passive. He can get lane priority through that matchup by spamming his spells and knocking away those minions. He also has the magic damage shield to defend against the Corki auto attacks, which are going to be primarily magic damage. So I do expect to see Nemesis on that. And then for Broxah, it depends. Does you want to go for the Elise and risk going the double AP with your mid lane and your jungler, or something else entirely here? The Olaf is something I wouldn't put Broxah on, but it's something we've seen a whole lot this weekend into the Gragas in particular.
Oh, I'd really like to see it as well. Give someone all that strength in the early game.
I don't think Broxah plays the Olaf, so.
Well, we didn't think he played the Sylas, and he pulled that one out. So it's going to be the pivot. Sylas in the jungle, expecting Cassiopeia in the mid lane. So a little bit of a surprise, but what do you make of the comp now?
Well, this is an exact mirror matchup of what Splyce and Fnatic played each other in the mid lane. It was Corki for Humanoid, Nemesis on the Cassiopeia. That Cassiopeia looking very, very strong in that matchup. We know that this champion can scale incredibly well and just out-trades Corki blow for blow in the mid lane. Long extended trades is where Cassiopeia is really going to shine. And now with this team composition, you again have strong solo laners, maybe a bit more scaling options on your side here for Fnatic to go into the team fights up against Splyce.
Well, if there was ever a team to make sure you have some late game insurance against, the European team Splyce would be one you'd want to do exactly that. So let's take a look at where the early game is going to be impacted. Sylas into Gragas, you've got some lanes to play around. What do you want to see from the respective junglers?
Well, usually in this type of a matchup, it's more about farming to level 6. There's not always a lot of early game action. If you do have a lane you can play around, you definitely can look for some options. Broxah maybe can punish a pushing Gnar in the early game if he does want to impact up towards that top side of the map. But this is going to be a game that I feel like in the early stages favors Splyce a little bit. They want to be getting Xerxe to that level 6 mark. They want to be taking their time. This is sort of the setup that is ideal for them.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is a preview of your European representatives at the World Championships. Battle for seeding is on the line. The winner here goes straight into the group stage, while the losers will be in the play-in stage. And if you didn't know, the World's Group Draw will be taking place on the 23rd of September. It's a week away from Monday. And welcome back to Summer's Rift for the very last series of the 2019 season here in Europe. No real shenanigans yet. I will keep my eyes open because Fnatic are definitely famous for their level 1 shenanigans.
Yeah, they do love to go in early on,
They
don't they?
absolutely do. But yeah, let's take a look. Where are these lanes going to be setting up? I'm going to be keeping our eyes, like you said, on some of the early game advantages Splyce could build if we have Saturday Splyce playing today.
Right. So one thing that Fnatic started doing last weekend against Sjokz in particular was starting with double sweepers for their level 1. They really like denying enemy vision inside the river. In particular because, you know, Fnatic love to go for these early game plays. We saw the level 1 invades, the level 2 invades. They do it all. And in this type of a game, we don't expect them to make those same sort of moves. But for Fnatic, they have clearly identified that just denying enemy information in these first few levels can really mess with players, especially a guy like Xerxe who relies so much on tracking his opposition to tell his team exactly where the enemy jungler is going to be at any given second in the game.
Yeah, really, really important. And Xerxe's definitely been one of those junglers that has been a bit more sort of cerebral, if I can use that word. Somebody we've praised a lot for how he plays the game. But take a look at this. Hilly and Rekkles waiting in the bush. Kobbe and Norskeren about a step forward. Trades go in. That's a double taunt for now. Rekkles starts throwing out the autos before he gets caught by the dredge line. Very big HP advantage for the Fnatic bottom lane as they turn to lane.
It's the classic solo queue level 1 cheese. You know you don't have to leash for your jungler, so you go camp inside the enemy tri-brush. Again, the sweeper that Hylissang took made sure that he wasn't going to be on vision there. And because Xerxe actually used his body slam to get over the wall the second the engage happened, it meant that he couldn't help them out. Because usually the response to this play is jungler comes and jungler punishes. That's what we're seeing now because both Hylissang and Rekkles did take a fair bit of damage in return.
All right, the taunt does catch on Kobbe, but look at the root. There's the flash body slam, first blood to Kobbe and Splyce. Norskeren and Xerxe hunting for more, but that was really well done.
And this is why the level 1 cheese gets punished so often, especially the higher elo you go, because junglers can just show up immediately. Xerxe was on the bottom side of the map, and I was almost expecting him to go for the invade because he predicts the path out of Broxah, which is going to be Raptors, Red, Krugs into a reset. Now he knows that the Sylas is going to be on the bottom side of the map, and his bot lane can play respectfully.
Take a look at this as well. Timing. Hylissang looks for the aggressive trade, and it could not be worse.
Like, we see this all the time, right? And it makes sense. In the isolated 2v2, Fnatic are going to win those trades, almost always. But after losing that, now that's going to be the flash off of Rekkles, no ignite for Hylissang too, and Kobbe and Norskeren should just have free lane priority in this matchup, because when you consider a Nautilus versus a Shen, Nautilus has that AoE. He's able to help out in terms of wave clear. Kai'Sa also going to be very strong in that regard, so they should be able to push up whenever they want to, and that's going to mean when Xerxe is around them.
Nice, nicely done by Splyce. Picking up the first kill here in the regional qualifier final match. And we get our first glimpse of Broxah starting to clear out. He's just blue.
So the other play I want to look for now, I think Xerxe actually has the opportunity to play a very fast style of League of Legends because he knows Broxah's bot side and a big wave is building up for Bwipo in the top lane. It's a very good time to find a gank here before Bwipo can fully push this wave. Unfortunately, for the side of Splyce, Bwipo is clearing that a little bit too quickly, and with a ward there that Splyce almost surely know went down, it's going to be very hard to force that play, and Bwipo will back off respectfully.
So the window of opportunity was available, but didn't pan out, didn't last long enough. You can see Bwipo instantly backing. He's picked himself up a couple long swords and will be returning back to lane as he resets.
Yeah, basically I think if Xerxe wanted to make that play work, you skip the blue buff knowing the Broxah's bot side, and you walk up and you camp in that brush. But that does risk wasting time if Bwipo doesn't actually step forward to trade on the wave, and that's not a risk that Xerxe takes very often. He's all about the efficiency.
Yeah, definitely. And talking about parties, right now Fnatic want to host one in the bottom lane. Teleport coming down as well. A 5-man stack, and it's instantly thwarted. Xerxe throws down the Predator. He's in range. And the Spider Nautilus pulls himself up to the wall. So teleport absolutely whiffs and is wasted. Vizicsacsi, however, did TP as well, so at least it's a trade in that regard, but no kill, no plays, no plates. I
mean, it's technically not an ARAM because it's in the bottom lane, but that's definitely what it felt like right there. We know Fnatic love to commit a ton of resources down towards that bottom side of the map, and I actually really like the maneuver coming through from Splyce. Because Humanoid didn't follow with the TP down bottom lane, he just ran up top lane to pick up that wave, knowing that Chachi then could run up towards that middle lane and pick it up there, so they should be getting the EXP lead off of that one.
This is a fantastic start for Splyce. I'm very excited to see how the series continues to pan out. He touched on Humanoid. He's picked up that cull now, anticipating a slightly longer laning phase, potentially, as Hylissang gets caught out by the dredge line. Takes a couple of autos, and Rekkles returns to lane. He's got a couple of long swords himself, and the wave slowly pushing towards him. But it's a 1,000 gold lead for Splyce already. Some CS advantage in the top and bot lane, and Xerxe is setting himself up for a potential dive.
This is not the easiest dive to pull off. Shen's W gives you a lot of damage reduction.
Well, the dredge line will catch onto Rekkles. There's the taunt. That means it can't be used on a tower. But with the help of Ignite, Fnatic get the first kill of the game. There's a reply back as Rekkles goes down. And all of a sudden, Kobbe and Xerxe, they're pushing the wave in.
I mean, I like the idea from Splyce. Again, they're trying to take this 2 versus 2 trade to get Fnatic low enough and to burn their spells so that they can't lock Splyce underneath that tower. But remember what we said, the 2v2 in those all-ins, like we saw earlier on, that's a Xayah Shen win right there. So even though Xerxe is there very close by, he's not able to get there in time, and it's just an even trade in the end.
1-for-1, the kill was secured by Hylissang and not Rekkles, and this is how it started. As soon as the taunt goes down, Xerxe engages.
Yeah, it's really hard for Norskeren to get out of that one as well, holding onto the flash for a really long time. He had a couple opportunities there when the feathers initially came in, but Bwipo takes a lot of damage here in the mid lane.
Oh, he's decided to go in. Here comes Broxah, level 6 for Humanoid though. He's getting traded, jumps all the way forward into Bwipo. Nemesis rocks up to help out, and Fnatic get the reply kill, evening out the gold.
It's Fnatic with the quicker rotation between lanes. This is how Fnatic play almost all the time. It's what made them be able to contest G2 so well in those finals, and now it's them on the offense, able to walk into the enemy territory. Broxah now taking away that Raptor camp. It's all about the level 6 rush now, and once Broxah gets out of the jungle, it makes it so much easier to just dominate through this early game.
I want to see what Hylissang is going to be doing as well. Fnatic have made it very clear. They want to be tower diving, they want to be fighting. Hylissang level 5 working towards that stand united, and Rekkles, he gets a little caught out. Rekkles is down in a 2v1 situation and killed. Nemesis has completed the teleport, petrifying gaze, locks down Norskeren, and he will get a counter kill. Rekkles, I don't think he should have been caught out there.
No, I mean, yes, there's a TP call coming through from Nemesis, possibly, but really, he had no flash. That just came back up after he went down. Not the respect given over towards Splyce to be able to make that cross-map play, because it was Fnatic playing very fast.
Oh, fantastically done. The taunt into the stolen Gragas barrel. Now, Hylissang will trade his life 1-for-1, but Fnatic are playing at the same tempo they did against G2 in the final.
It's just going to be a 1-for-1 trade everywhere on the map, because it seems like both teams are showing up where they need to be. We talked about the level 6s on the junglers. Xerxe and Broxah both hit it. They both used the cast to get kills, and now a TP will be coming through. That's going to be Kai'Sa returning towards this bottom lane. Maybe they can try to set up a play here with low mana on both Nemesis and Broxah.
I mean, look at Kobbe, 3-1-1 on his Kai'Sa. Ooh, that's an interrupt. Broxah has got flash available. He might just need it. He's going to dash forward, dash away, caught by the Dredge line. 300 HP, smite it down. In goes Xerxe, and that's a kill back. The recall interrupted in the bush.
That's just greedy there from Broxah. I mean, not just the recall, but the flash too. He's holding on for that for so long. Could have definitely managed to survive right there. Uncharacteristic mistake out of him as we see this play in the bot lane one more time. I don't know why Rekkles is walking forward like that. Yes, he has a big minion wave, but a minion wave's not enough. And even then, if you're going to make that play happen, TP's got to come much, much faster. Norskeren face plants into the Cassiopeia, so it makes it a 1-for-1 trade. But ultimately, I think this entire series of events could have been easily avoided.
Now, the thing is, Nemesis on this Cassio is now 2-0-1. Kobbe on his Kai'Sa 3-1-2. Which champion do you prefer more being fed as this game plays out?
I mean, I would definitely like to have a Kai'Sa here. I think Kai'Sa does some pretty nasty things, especially when you consider both these compositions. They're both very mid-rangey style comps, right? You know, Cassiopeia, Xayah, not super long range on those spells, and Kai'Sa excels in these types of environments. Because of her mobility, her invisibility, she can absolutely pop off in any of these mid-range skirmish-style fights. So the more kills, the merrier here for Kobbe.
Oh man, this is such a good position to be in for Splyce. Even gold as we get to 10 minutes. The Infernal Drake was picked up as well. And literally every single member of Splyce will be very happy to get the additional stats on their side. CS pretty much even across the board, despite a lot of skirmishes and fights. I mean, Bwipo marginally ahead, Nemesis, marginally behind, while Nemesis is marginally ahead. But it sets us up now for a very interesting mid-game, and sort of like rightly as you pointed out, Splyce and Xerxe early game not going too bad, but Fnatic have been able to trade back and keep this game close.
Yeah, and the biggest question for me is, can anyone actually match Cassiopeia in a side lane? It's a very interesting thing because her single target damage is so incredibly high, just spamming out those Twin Fangs, that if you're able to just, you know, put Nemesis down bottom lane or up in the top lane, it's really hard to actually walk into him. He can just clear that minion wave. You can't walk forward and try to clear it yourself because he will win every single trade, and you would have to commit multiple members towards him in order to stop him. It's actually really interesting when these two teams played the last time with the same Corki versus Cassiopeia matchup. All Splyce did in the mid game was dodge Cassiopeia in a side lane. If Nemesis went bot lane, 5 people of Splyce were up towards the top side of the map, and the second Nemesis came over to respond, they would do the exact same thing and shift their focus down towards the bottom side. So it was definitely a big point of pressure for Fnatic.
And I guess the risk factor of having Hylissang on Shen with Stand United means if you ever do want to pick a fight with that Cassio, at an instant he's going to be able to arrive. So keep my eyes on that as he has hit that point. And a first few big items coming in. Mirror Mana picked up now for Kobbe. Looking towards another little engage here as Hylissang gets caught up by the barrel. Broxah is nearby, and I'm looking at teleport timers. Bwipo has his up, as does Chachi. Neither of the mid laners do currently, and nobody's made a play yet for any of those big plays just yet.
Chachi just wants to take a big trade against Bwipo, who actually burns his ultimate right there. Interestingly enough, I don't think you're going to make too much off of this trade, Bwipo. He's just trying to lifesteal back.
Well, a lot of damage down. But we've actually seen this like twice or 3 times. Bwipo and Chachi, they're literally just trading and farming, and it feels like until they get involved with the rest of the team, that one-on-one's not going to do a huge amount. Cheeky Hex Flash. I held my breath because I didn't think that was going to end well for Hilly if he'd gone into the river.
Sometimes he just does crazy things, man. But sometimes those crazy things really do work out. The flash cooldown missing on Hylissang is actually the biggest thing I'm looking at, because when you consider points of pressure around the map, oh, that's flashed out bot lane, actually.
Indeed, Rekkles throws his out. His ultimate was used as well. So Norskeren trading flash for flash and also getting Rekkles' ultimate. So another juicy target if Xerxe wants to come and look for another gank.
Splyce have to be concerned about this multi-man collapse coming down towards them. Corki is not with them just yet, so they are going to have to go back underneath the tower right here. There's no objective for Fnatic to be playing for on this bottom side of the map, so they're just constantly searching for skirmishes. I just think it's really hard with Fnatic's composition to find fights. You consider their engaged tools, it's very low range. You know, it has to be a Sylas, you know, landing an E on you or a taunt flash coming through from Hylissang. It's very telegraphed engages as well, so the way they push this game forward can't come from just forcing fights, you know, ARAM in the mid lane, that sort of style. It's got to be through superior vision control or being able to flank and come from a wide angle on one of these side lanes for Splyce.
I want to see whether or not Fnatic can actually use this Sylas and hijack to start some fights of their own. We saw Broxah running out of that stolen Nautilus ultimate. There's some tools in his camp. Bwipo is picking a pretty good fight here with Chachi, who's just going to be able to hop away to safety. Bwipo did use his flash as well.
Yeah, Broxah's on the way here too, so Vizicsacsi in a whole lot of trouble here without the Gnar bar built up. Does have the flash though.
All right, depth charge. That's going to knock Chachi up. Don't think the Gnar bar's going to count. That's going to be an easy pickup for Fnatic. 5 kills to 5 now, but it will be at the cost of a bottom tower. I think a bunch of plates have been taken top, so it'll be a trade. Yeah,
so Rekkles just teleported up into the top lane to try and make this trade happen. At the same time, Broxah is going to be starting up the Rift Hill. So in theory for Fnatic, they can trade up here unless they lose more members.
They will indeed. Hylissang's got flash available to him. He's got caught out. He's locked up, and he will go down. Kobbe picks up his 4th kill of the game. That's after securing the first tower as well, and the top tower not fallen yet.
Why is Hylissang even down there? His AD carry just TP'd up into the top lane. There's no way a support Shen can defend 1v3 right there. At the same time, Humanoid can do that because he has the package, so he has the defensive tools to stop that one from happening. But Splyce have now jumped out to a gold lead in this game, and I think their scaling is very, very strong with the double marksman setup.
Oh man, this is terrifying. Rage Blade picked up now for Kobbe as well. A 1,500 gold lead, a dragon lead, a tower lead, a kill lead, and a little bit messy here from Fnatic. And you know, the things we were looking for today when we came in was, what can we expect from these teams going to the World Championship? We know it's been a long year. We know it's another series to play, especially for Fnatic, who put absolutely everything on the line in the finals last weekend. These are a little bit of uncharacteristic mistakes, I feel.
Yeah, we definitely know Fnatic is tired after a very long year here, but want to see their performance coming in towards Worlds. Xerxe wants to steal it away, should be easy.
It's got some help from Norskeren, and we'll be able to smite it down.
Same time, Splyce trying to find this collapse here on towards Rekkles. He has his ultimate, but he does not have a lot of HP. Gonna have to pop that one to go up, but he gets caught right out by Norskeren. That should be a kill if they can find it.
Oh, not done just yet. Norskeren finally goes down. It's a trade, though, in favor of Fnatic as they get the second. Bwipo picks it up.
Yeah, that's just too far of a commitment forward right there. So many TPs from Fnatic able to respond towards that play from Splyce. It was interesting. This is what we expected. Splyce sending multiple members into the mid lane and then pushing up, trying to collapse on the side lane, while Fnatic, they're always willing to pop the TPs and play around Rekkles, even though he does fall. The rest of Fnatic were there and able to respond quite well.
Oh, I was looking at Hylissang, wondering if he was going to go for the Hex Flash Taunt Engage. Decided against it for now. There is some threat underneath the tower. Petrifying Gaze was available for Nemesis and Chachi for the time being. Just trying to boost the Gnar bar, but look at the minimap. Here comes Broxah. Chilling Smite down. Good flash from Chachi. Put some distance between them. Mega Gnar's about to pop. Nemesis is done yet. If Chachi turns back around, he could get rooted in place. Now all of a sudden, Norskeren is making his way up, and Chachi feels confident to turn it around.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard to chase Nemesis all the way down through the lane, but, you know, all of a sudden, the gold lead absolutely gone. Every single thing went right for Fnatic right there because Rekkles wasn't immediately popped. Keep that in mind. Uses his own ultimate to dodge away, and even though Norskeren lands everything, Humanoid did the auto attack Hylissang right there, or maybe the Shen W blocked the auto attack. I didn't quite see that on towards Rekkles. Regardless, he lived a long time, and that meant both Norskeren and Broxah, whose champions forced them to commit their bodies into fights to go forward, were too far away from the rest of their DPS.
Oh man, so Fnatic 2-0-1 on their Aatrox, 2-0-1 on Cassiopeia, and Rekkles picks up his first kill of the game. He's sitting on that Essence Reaver, and we got 14 kills already in 16 minutes, and definitely feeling a little bit more like the top-tier European team playstyle. Bwipo stood on top of his own control ward, and he's going to start this fight, but there's not a lot of support. There's so much damage onto Kobbe, and Kobbe escapes with his life. Bwipo will get taken out by the barrel, and now all of a sudden Hylissang is rooted in place. He will go down as well. Fnatic picking a fight with incomplete information.
Bwipo so deep right there, gets absolutely punished, and everything swings back. The pendulum back in favor of Splyce right here. The Ocean Drake, probably the only objective they could look to pick up off of this play with the wave there being too strong in the mid. But it doesn't even seem like they want to go for that. They're just going to take the kills and get out free.
But look at the minimap. There's not enough vision for Fnatic. Bwipo, fair enough, had a lot of damage and they almost killed Kobbe, but it almost isn't enough and end up conceding 2.
Yeah, it's a rough situation there for Fnatic going too deep, especially because they were just hitting some of their spikes as well. Hylissang coming up into the top lane. Humanoid with not a lot of room here to escape.
Caught out on that miasma. Now I think his flash was just used. Twin Fan will turn him down. Now Kobbe completes a teleport, trying to turn around. Petrifying Gaze does not find a kill, but the 2-man stack does. And Fnatic reply with 2 of their own.
Splyce just throwing a couple extra kills in there too. Humanoid using his flash, gonna lose that in the trade. Kobbe also falling down here.
So let's look forward a few minutes. Not just yet, because Norskeren's gonna be looking for a fight. Hilly and Nemesis, they are going to get some backup from Broxah. Norskeren gets caught by a very good taunt. Where's the miasma? A little late there, Nemesis. Norskeren's able to flash away. And what this means at 18 minutes, we're getting ourselves set up for a very big team fight mid-game, which I am excited for.
Yeah, I'm definitely geared up and ready for that one too. Fnatic should be feeling very good moving into that next 4 or 5 minutes with no flashes on either of the marksmen for Splyce's side. When Fnatic have all their defensive tools up and ready to go, is going to be a very good look for them. Going to make it really hard for Splyce to force fights. And we know, as we've mentioned before, if Splyce force fights, they don't have a lot of tools to get out of them. Yeah,
not exactly the case. Now, that's going to be a little bit of damage onto Xayah. Broxah is holding the trigger. One of the questions I want to ask, what do you think of Fnatic's engage options if Broxah can steal some key ultimates?
They get a whole lot better all of a sudden. You consider like one of the broken ones here in this game in terms of like collapsing, catching out single targets is always going to be that Nautilus ultimate that you can go ahead and chuck away. But we've also seen the Gragas ult be very strong, and of course the Gnar ultimate that G2 fans will be very scared of. You remember FLICKR stealing the Gnar ultimate back at MSI? That is absolutely terrifying. So when Broxah has that Gnar ult, when he has his flash up, Splyce have to spread out, because if you group up against that, you will get instantly deleted.
It's so interesting to remember. Like when you play against a Gnar, it's kind of ingrained into you, but it's a little more challenging to track which ultimate has been stolen by that hijack.
Especially when he's been sitting on it for so long. He still has that Gnar ult, by the way.
Yeah, depth charge is available to him as the mid tower's under siege. Now, Fnatic has sort of snuck their way into a tower lead. They've picked up 3 to Splyce's 1 already. And they've got themselves a very marginal gold lead. And Baron will be spawning shortly. So let's project for the next few minutes. What do you want to see, let's say, Fnatic do to hold on to this advantage?
Well, I think Fnatic, it's a little bit tough, again, because I don't think they have the greatest pick tools outside of some of those ultimates. So I feel like they almost always have to play defensive when Splyce show up with the same amount of members or more to any sort of play. Whether that's around this mid lane turret, you notice it's almost always Splyce pushing in and Fnatic picking up the waves, or getting vision down. All of Splyce's vision is very, very deep. So I think it's very hard for Fnatic to do much proactively in this game. Instead, set up around Nemesis in the side lane that we talked about a little bit earlier. He's going to be really, really strong. Not in the sense that Nemesis is going to be pushing down and hitting towers, but, well, there you go.
Yeah, Norskeren's going to be dead. He just caught out this time round. Fnatic find a key pick. They may be able to put some pressure in this mid lane. Instead, just going to be leaving Nemesis up in that top lane. Humanoid's now rejoining Xerxe and Kobbe mid.
Honestly, I'm just really curious to see how that happened, because I do not think that Norskeren should be getting caught out in his own jungle like that, while Vizicsacsi almost finds the same fate.
This is huge. Vizicsacsi in his Gnar form already threw down the ultimate. The rest of Fnatic, they've started off the Baron. Remember, Norskeren's not with the team. Now Humanoid's going to try to throw the poke up. That is a massive barrel from Xerxe. This will dissuade any further follow-up, and Fnatic's gambit doesn't pay off.
I wonder how much Splyce want to go for right here, because mid lane tower is the obvious, is the free play. That's a one-shot!
Goodbye, Rekkles! Xerxe, 5, 1, and 4, blows up Rekkles.
Xerxe's so fed right now. Double magic pen items completed, plus the runic echoes. Rekkles did not see that one coming, and Xerxe doesn't want to slow down. They're just going to keep pushing that vision back in. Just 1 second. This game keeps throwing back and forth based off of picks, but it seems like Splyce are always edging just a little bit further.
All right, let's take a look. So this was Norskeren getting caught out. That set up the initial Baron, or the Baron play that we're going to see in a moment or two. Bwipo just
recalling.
Oh man, that feels bad. That feels so bad. And I don't know if you can forgive that, because he knew Fnatic were nearby.
Yeah, just got a recall in a safer position right there. Now, Rekkles, he does have flash, he does have ultimate, but he doesn't expect the immediate one-shot. There's not a whole lot of time to react to that one right there, and that's a whole lot of damage.
Now, remember, kids, when 4 out of 5 members of the team go left, The 5th should go left too.
True.
Stick with your team, fam. 10 kills to 10, 22 minutes. It is still a dead even game. You talked a little bit about how you want to see Fnatic play a bit defensive with their team comp. Right now, they're going to find out Vizicsacsi. That's so much damage from Nemesis. Flash is available. Flash used from Chachi and Bwipo. Now Humanoid, the backup of the team, trying to put something back, but it's just top lane is trading.
You're seeing that Cassiopeia damage right there on single targets. That's going to be the Shen coming down on towards Rekkles, as well as his own Feather Storm to try and dodge away from the engage right there. That was the Nautilus ultimate trying to come through and catch out Rekkles. So it will be a split map right now. Fnatic going to be very happy finding themselves this Infernal Drake, but once again, it is Splyce with knowledge and vision around this barren area that they need to be able to use in the next few minutes to set up for a pick, especially now that a lot of the defensive tools Fnatic have are down.
All right, Bwipo's coming in from the river. So is Nemesis. Vizicsacsi's going to get caught out. Knocked in place. Not going to be locked out by the Umbral Chains. And this is just a little bit crazy. Humanoid gets caught by Hilly's taunt. Now the turnaround into Nemesis. This is a split fight.
Oh.
There's Kai'Sa jumping in backline. Humanoid will go down, but he takes Rekkles with him. Nemesis running for his life. He needs time to get the Twin Fangs out. He keeps firing and spitting and destroying Splyce. Now Xerxe's caught behind enemy lines, and he's being run down.
Yeah, Fnatic just going to turn on towards the Baron right now. But fail to hop over the wall, but all they have to do is keep Xerxe away from the pit. They still have the smite up on Broxah, and there's no vision for Xerxe. He's going to have to try and wait, and he's going to have to try and burst it down.
There's a couple of seconds for the explosive cask is available. Nemesis is helping out the rest of Fnatic with a lot of damage onto the pit. There was a spot there on Xerxe. Fnatic are aware. Hex flash over the wall from Hilly. He's not going to be able to taunt Xerxe. Teleport coming in a little bit early. Baron will go to Fnatic, and they will be in control.
So strong in that fight right there. They're able to immediately eviscerate Vizicsacsi. It starts off again because Nemesis set up the play down bottom lane. Chachi had nothing to do. He can't escape from the miasma. The damage coming through. The Liandry's Torment increase just stacking up over time. Now he's at max damage on that thing, and even though Kobbe comes in and tries to get the damage down, the Zhonya's and the flash away to dodge so much of the DPS coming through is what keeps him alive there, as well as the sustain coming through off his Twin Fangs.
And he did all of that without his ultimate. The ultimate came alive, or became active just in the last seconds of that fight. Such good use of the Hourglass and the shield. 7-0-1 on his Cassiopeia right now. And the very fed Kai'Sa, despite now picking up Hurricane as well as having completed Mirror Mana, 5-3-3. I feel like Fnatic going to be pretty happy with how this has gone so far.
Definitely. This game is always going to be a battle of the backlines, it seems like, between this Kai'Sa and the Cassiopeia on the other side. But now that there's a Zhonya's Hourglass for Cassio, level 16 coming through, the level difference absolutely massive between these two players. On top of the fact that the second Nemesis lands a Q, he gets all that extra movement speed. It becomes very difficult to actually trade against him, especially because Kobbe's on this relatively low range marksman in the bottom lane. It becomes very hard to go blow for blow in these fights. And on top of that, Nemesis also has so much sustain.
Oh, Hylissang's caught out. No flash available. Ooh, that was far too close. Down in the bottom lane, Broxah and Nemesis have now pivoted from the tower, and there's pressure in multiple lanes with those Baron-empowered minions.
Fnatic just want to shift their pressure around this Cassiopeia lane, who's pushing down bottom side. Splyce are doing the same thing, but they have less members in the top lane, and they don't have the Baron buff with them. So while they might be able to trade, they have to do it quickly.
So much damage from Bwipo. The depth charge has been thrown down. Top tower secured for Splyce. Inhibitor tower is now being focused down, and the Gragas barrel has been stolen by Broxah. This should be an inhibitor before anybody can contest. Killer Instinct is available for Kobbe. The question is, can Fnatic get back in time to defend their base?
Well, Nemesis does have TP as the option, but Fnatic might just want to take two inhibitors. That's going to be a worth trade for them if they're able to knock it down.
All right, they're going to be trying. Nemesis takes a lot of damage. Gragas barrel swapped and traded. Xerxe needs to body slam to safety. Nemesis throws up Petrifying Gate.
Kobbe!
Comes Kobbe! He goes for the hero play. Manages to take that one with the help of Humanoid, but is traded instantly back. Bwipo gets another. The AD Kai'Sa Splyce are down. The inhibitor has been focused. Vizicsacsi has not joined the fight. The inhibitor stands for Fnatic, and this is a gigantic win for Fnatic.
Fnatic might just be able to push in for the end. Now the TP will come through from Vizicsacsi, but it looks like it might be too little too late right here. Splyce committed into the 4v5 fight. They lost, now it's Fnatic on the Nexus.
All right, Bwipo stepping into Vizicsacsi, who's going to hop away to safety. Nexus turret will fall. Body slam flash comes in from Xerxe. Turn around. Hourglass buys some time. The tower is still standing. Bwipo's got going low, not yet dead. Xerxe taken down by Rekkles. Vizicsacsi, the last to fall. Splyce are aced, but they defend their base.
Yeah, Splyce gonna be able to hold on for a little while longer. Norskeren trying to chase down, find some kills, but nice feathers coming through from Rekkles to delay the inevitable chase. Should be able to escape out of that, but there is a teleport coming through from Humanoid. Around the side, they are gonna see Bwipo on this red buff, and he is in a lot of trouble.
He is indeed gonna dash over the wall, and this should be an easy kill here. Humanoid secures it, picks up the red buff as well, and Fnatic...
I mean, look at their Nexus right now, though. It's getting destroyed by minions.
Oh my word, somebody needs to come and kill these things. Nexus is, it's gonna live, it's gonna live. There were enough minions around to keep it alive, but the tower fell. The damage is done, and you can see what was a fairly close, fairly even game. 25 minutes is now heavily in favor of Fnatic.
Yes, this is the fight around the base. Vizicsacsi, that's the man you got to keep your eyes on here, because he got an absolutely massive ult. Xerxe starts off, and then it's a 4-man slam. 2 members into the Nexus, 2 into the dead corpse of that Nexus tower. Fnatic did not see that one coming, and I honestly just can't believe that 2 members of Fnatic actually made it out off of this play.
That hourglass from Xerxe bought just enough time for Vizicsacsi to put some damage out, and Fnatic escape with the skin of their teeth. And as it stands now, gonna set themselves up for another potential siege. I mean, Baron's up in a minute and a half. I guess the safe option would be to play for that, and then use that with your super minions to knock over the Nexus.
Definitely. There's not a lot of room for Splyce to come back, assuming Fnatic do close easily. But this is not the typical lopsided game you expect when 2 Nexus towers are down and 2 inhibitors are down as well. It's only 3,000 gold separating these 2 teams. At the same time, I have to quickly praise Kobbe's itemization. A lot of times you see the Kai'Sa go for the full AP build when you have a Corki in the mid lane and a Gragas in the jungle. Thank you for building the Infinity Edge and the Runaan's Hurricane. You need that damage diversification to fight against the tank line of Fnatic. Now they're trying to set up this fight. Find the flank on towards Fnatic. Can you catch Nemesis? That is going to be the biggest question. He has the Zonias, he has the flash. They're going to try and find it with Xerxe from the back.
That's a 5-man stack!
No!
That's a dead Broxah. Now the turnaround is Xerxe, not going to be enough. But look at that! Nemesis is melting Splyce. He's already got 2. Flash is available to him if he wants to chase, and he does! Twin Fang off the Twin Fang! Goes golden, and the Stand United will be delivering. Rekkles is looking for Kobbe, continues to chase down, throwing out auto after auto. Takes a big chunk of damage as the feathers are thrown out, claw back, and he turns his attention to Xerxe. The last man standing for Splyce. The Nexus is the focus, and Fnatic will take game 1 in this series. Be sure to stick around for our post-match. Mikyx from G2 is joining the AD to help break it down. And while there were some questionable plays that game, I am very happy and excited to see Splyce kind of trading blow for blow with Fnatic in the early game, and you know, being proactive, and Xerxe seemingly starting hot today.
Yeah, you know, I think it was definitely a messy game between these 2 teams, but that's usually how games look with the Fnatic in them, because they like to play fast and loose. It was nice to see Fnatic, or Splyce rather, getting in the mud with them, tangoing with them just a little bit. At the same time, they got the wrong man at the end. They needed Nemesis, they found Broxah. Nemesis Cassiopeia was absolutely untouchable. They saved the last pick for him, and he absolutely stepped up and carried this game.
10, 1, and 2. And Nemesis Cassio was to be feared. I also, this is already weird, but I really have to commend his use of the Hourglass and the Archangels as well, the Seraph shield, because they were team fight changing. They were at exactly the right time. It allowed enough members, you know, to back him up and support him, and he truly was the carry to play around. In Ready Check today, I believe it was Sjokz that said, Rekkles doesn't need to play out of his mind for Fnatic to win. And this is a perfect, crystal clear example of that.
Yeah, you know, Fnatic have proven so often they can play through every single lane. And I think we're going to see a lot of that throughout today.
We are indeed. Let's go check in with the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Trevor. Back and forth game 1. It's also going to be a back and forth analyst desk, because we have another member on the desk, which is Mikyx from G2 Esports. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
How's it going? Because this is basically your off time, so I'm very honored that you want to be on the desk with us.
I mean, yeah, we have a lot of free time, and well, I didn't have anything else to do at Berlin than stream, and I guess, yeah, I wanted to kind of also talk about these games. So yeah, I'm very happy to be here.
Perfect fit. So talk to me about this draft, the picks and bans in the first game. Just so you know, before the game we talked about how Splyce made this kind of mini meta for themselves the last 3 days, but Fnatic was probably just going to play what they're used to playing. What do you make of these drafts?
I think, well, it's a bit weird that Sylas got all the way to 3rd pick. I think Splyce for sure picked it on 3rd instead of Gnar. I don't think Gnar is that good of a champion, and maybe it's a good matchup into Aatrox, but I don't think so. And I also feel like the Shen pick is maybe not that great with Fnatic's team comp, because usually when you pick Shen, you want to like play around side lanes a lot, and you want to like, for example, when they played against us, they had Akali, so it's really good with Akali, because Akali can just like jump in on anyone, and Shen can ult her, and then you're 2v1 and you get a kill. Or with the Jax, but I think with their team comp, it looks kind of off. And yeah, they also kind of misplayed the lane, because they got level 2 ganked, but
We'll look at that in a second. That's a great point. Frost?
I think kind of my key takeaways when I was looking at this draft, just to kind of echo Mickey, I thought it was very curious the low priority on Sylas from both of these teams. I feel like the Sylas probably originally started as a mid lane pick and then kind of got forced into Broxah's hands when Nemesis was like, no, Cassio here. I thought the Gragas priority, especially when you have champions like Xayah still available as well as the Sylas, and then trying to find a blind pick for Chachi. The fact that he did have the gangplank denied from him, so he had to go back to Gnar, but the fact that it came this early into the draft phase, like obviously from blue side, he was always going to have to blind pick, but so far in, I think there might be some concerns for Splyce of making sure that Chachi gets on a comfortable champion rather than going through secondary ban phase and really getting blown out.
Yeah, for sure. I think also looking at the bans, which was very intriguing on my end, is that we saw the Qiyana Akali gangplank ban. We saw Humanoid not being so active on the Corki. It's a champion that needs to scale into the game. It's a champion we didn't see in the G2 Fnatic series for a reason, because they were too high paced. And on top of that, Vizicsacsi on Gnar, GP was a big pick yesterday. I think this was a big problem. And on top of that, Splyce's bans had to leave something through, and it was the Bwipo Aatrox that we didn't see in 10 games. It was you guys banned it 10 times. So it's crazy, you know, it's just too tough to draft against Fnatic.
I want to spend just one more second on the Corki, because you make a great point there. We always say, well, Fnatic and G2 are the two teams that play so incredibly fast, so they don't even consider this Corki. Is this also how you guys view it?
I mean, yeah, we didn't really prioritize Corki much, and well, Fnatic picked it one game, and we picked Tinder into it, and well, that game was like free. So yeah, I don't think Corki is that strong of a pick after the nerf. I think there's, but maybe, I mean, yeah, I think they should just pick Sylas on 3 and put it mid. But I also think that they could have been Aatrox if they banned Rakan, because I think most of the, like at least against us, when we banned Rakan on blue side, Fnatic was forced to ban Yuumi. So I think if they do that, then they can maybe force a Yuumi ban instead of banning it themselves, and then they can ban Aatrox as well. So if they just copy our bans, yeah.
I just think you're under the assumption then that Splyce could play all of these picks, because I agree, like, if they had the same flexibility, they would, but if I see Splyce pick up Aatrox, I'm like, oh no, not an Aatrox team, please put it back.
Yeah, that's a good point, of course. We're dealing with different flexibilities. Mickey, you already brought up the bot lane play before. Imagine you are Hylissang and Rekkles in this situation. What's going through your head?
So yeah, so if I'm playing on red side, then I should kind of expect to get ganked level 2 or 3, because enemy jungler always goes red buff into bot side gank. So yeah, it's kind of undodgeable.
And then Fnatic says, well, you know, let's just all go bottom, Yamato.
I felt like this was just too forced. This was just too quick. I'm looking at top wave. It looks kind of shit. They don't know Xerxe's position. Honestly, it's just too forced. I feel like Fnatic want to make it quick and just go home. And this was just felt a bit too messy.
I think what is interesting, though, is that Fnatic, while it looked forced if it was the intentional dive, I'll give Fnatic the benefit of the doubt, because they do like to make this type of play where it's literally like a plate gank, and you just slowly start to put gold into Rekkles and Hilly's hands, and then they swapped it. So once they used the TP for the Aatrox, they then had Cassio go up there, who retained her TP because she used the roam potential. And I think if they had repeated that, having that extra TP on Cassio, whereas Gnar no longer had his, then it's like big brain Fnatic. But I don't know, I definitely need to listen to the comms. Like, if that was called for the dive, then I agree with you. I'm like, oh, that's a little bit like too forced Fnatic. But if it was like a long con game of just slowly bleeding gold out of the tower and then using a TP discrepancy for later on, then I'm like, that's Galaxy.
Let's ask Mickey, is
I'm pretty sure knowing Fnatic is supposed to be a dive.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they want to dive there.
Perfect. Then the mid game, yes?
I do have one more question for Mickey, though, because we were debating this with the Shen Xayah. So level 1, I don't know if you got to see it, they walk through the tri-brush, Shen and Xayah, they sit in the bush, they go for it. Is the intention then that you just wait for E to come back up and that you'll get the kill? Well, do they actually have kill pressure there, or did Fnatic even make the wrong call with Xerxe not there to look for that 2v2?
Yeah, I think it's maybe, I don't think Xayah is that strong level 1, so I think it's a bit risky to just taunt in level 1 into a Nautilus Kai'Sa. I think Kai'Sa is like
It was
one of the
into
most
the minion
OP
wave too.
Yeah, and Kai'Sa is like one of the strongest AD carries level 1 because of her passive. So I think, yeah, maybe it worked in scrims for them, or maybe they were looking back at the previous week where I was dying level 1 and 2, so I thought maybe they can get the same this time, but yeah, it didn't work out.
It didn't. The mid game was also really messy, I would say, from both sides. It really came down to how hard can Kobbe carry a fight versus how much can Nemesis do on Cassiopeia. And I did want to take some time to talk about Nemesis because I think, you know, in this year he came into a team where he had to replace Caps, and I think the fact that we haven't talked about him that much is actually positive because it means that he's been doing his job.
I've heavily criticized Nemesis on one particular point. In the G2 series, I saw many times on Akali that he was struggling in late game fights. I think his biggest strength is that he's very, very patient. A lot of mid laners in Europe, they tend to die more times than they need to. I think Kai'Sa is a good example. I think Nemesis is very, very solid, very, very patient. And when he's playing the right champions, like the Twisted Fate or the Cassio, he shows up big time also in the late game, like in this one. But when I see him on the Akali, when I see him on the Sylas, I see him struggle. Many of the games, different Akali players could potentially carry those series against G2, and then maybe Mikyx would be less happy.
Yeah, Mikyx, what can you kind of explain if you play versus Fnatic with Nemesis and he's 3-0 on Akali? How scared are you of him compared to maybe other mid laners with that lead?
I mean, when he played Akali against us, I was still pretty scared. He was really ahead. Yeah, it's still Akali. And like, yeah, even in game 3 before the Nash fight, he was actually like one-shotting me every time. I just played an EQ. So yeah, I was still pretty scared to play against. But yeah, I don't think it's like that much worse than other Akali players. I think it's really good.
Well, the thing is, I want to look at him, Frosk, in terms of this guy is going to go into Worlds with Fnatic. Where do you think, or how do you think he's going to do?
I think it's kind of only a matter of time for like Nemesis to get the experience that is needed. I think one of the really cool things about him, and you see this on his pick like Twisted Fate, because he does have access to that destiny and he's able to impact those side lanes. Nemesis is really good at reading state of the map pre-15 minutes and finding like roam windows. And he's doing that on Cassiopeia. Like Cassiopeia, not the most mobile champion, and he's constantly there on the play, not just when he needs to use his TP, but knowing when to move. And usually on younger mid laners or less experienced mid laners, you don't get that type of ability. Usually they're very good at playing in the lane phase, but anything else outside of the lane phase, they struggle. That's not the case for Nemesis.
Final thoughts?
I think it's crazy because I keep forgetting that it's his first year. You see this Fnatic roster and you always think of experience and how well they're supposed to play. It's his first year. I think he's doing super, super well. There's still a lot of room for improvement. And even though I've criticized him on some points, I still think he was the second best mid laner that we had during the summer split.
We'll see how he evolves in this best of 5. Fnatic, they're on their way towards the World's group stage and look to take us to match point when we return.
Put out on that miasma. Now I think this flash was just used. Twin Fang will turn him down. Now Kobbe completes a teleport, trying to turn around. Petrifying Gaze does not find a kill. Now the turnaround into Nemesis. This is a split fight. There's Kai'Sa jumping in backline. Humanoid will go down, but he takes Rekkles with him. Nemesis running for his life. He needs time to get the Twin Fangs out. He goes for the hero play. Manages to take that one with the help of Humanoid, but is traded instantly back. Bwipo gets another. The AD Kai'Sa Splyce are down. Nemesis is melting Splyce. He's already got 2. Flash is available to him if he wants to chase, and he does. Twin Fang of the Twin Fang. The Nexus is the focus, and Fnatic will take game 1 in this series.
Hi, I'm Pringles. I'm Chips. Wait, are we doing this Mac versus PC thing?
Guess so.
Then I am the Mac of the Chips. Cool. Then I'm the PC. Perfect for gaming. Easy to eat, no greasy hands.
Wait, I'm into gaming too.
You mean like into the keyboard crumbled?
No?
Or into the TeamSpeak rustling?
No, I'm into that noob frag LOL thing.
Well then, GG, my friend.
What?
No, we're doing the clap first.
Answering
Questions in
Hello, Pedro.
Oh, well, thank you very much. How are the children?
It's time for our question of the day. What would be your dream Medivetti intro?
What about fireworks?
But what about a choir?
Zipline?
Or a choir?
What about parachutes?
But a choir!
Someone that's afraid to let go. You decide if you're ever gonna let me know. Suicide if you ever try to